Welcome back to a new video. So as I get into the routine of how I want these videos to be structured throughout the week, I think Mondays, so the video I make on Sunday and then upload Monday, will be a good video to kind of review the previous week and kind of look forward to the next week, but kind of talk about, interesting things that happen throughout the week. Since the Sunday session, if I kind of stick to what I'm kind of planning out, will be a lighter day. So in this session, it was just muscle snatches. I did it with a hook grip, holding the hook grip the whole time, which was an interesting feeling, and doing the muscle snatches with contact at the hip. So I think that's something I'll definitely continue because just it is more carryover on the pull, and it also gives me more practice with keeping my hips back a little bit more. So it seems a little bit more specific and a little bit better technical practice. And with the muscle clean and overhead press, I guess a similar thing, but it's not as important for me to have, work on the muscle clean technique or cleans with muscle cleans. It's just to do a little more volume. But after that, did some band work for getting some pumps in. But this week was definitely an interesting one for me. So it was the first week of summer, the first full week. And so I guess I kicked it off by starting it with some muscle snatches, or not muscle snatches, this session I did, but beginning of the week with the big squats, which was the first time I've ever completed the big squat routine before. I've tried it a couple times before. It's extremely difficult, and it's a very weird feeling if you've never done it before, or at least attempted to do it, because it is like getting a really crazy pump and really fatigued from like low hypertrophy work, and then trying to max out, and it's like your muscles don't have any oomph left in them. It's a very interesting feeling, but I'm very glad I was able to complete it. But that workout thrashed my legs for sure, and if you want really sore legs, it's definitely a session that you can try to do. Even if what's kind of nice about pig squats too is even if you don't complete it, you've already done a lot of reps. Let's say you get stuck at like 140. You've already done like a really good squat workout, and even if you get stuck at 100 or even 80 or 90, like you've done a lot of reps up until that point. So there's not really a bad way to do a session like that, but certainly isn't something that is very sustainable to do in the to do multiple times or to use as some sort of like volume progression model. But very glad I was able to do that, and kind of experimented with the overhead press because I knew the next day I wouldn't want to feel like doing anything, so I did it with pressing. And then I believe it was Wednesday, I was thrashed from both of those. My legs, back, and glutes were all, quads and glutes and all of that were sore from the squats for a couple days. And then when I did the pressing, my shoulders were really sore the next day, and the day after my triceps were really sore. So it was kind of interesting. It kind of changed with that. With the squats, it was much more just everything was kind of sore. But as I moved on later in the week, started to feel, recovered, essentially. I'd say more normal, but obviously just recovered, and able to, train how I originally planned, or at least, go to heavier weights or just feel normal when I was training. So that was nice. And, it wasn't like, the whole week was destroyed because I did that, just, I guess a couple days, but it's to be expected. Certainly won't be doing that anytime soon, but it's kind of like a nice kind of one-off thing, just as a little challenge, I suppose. Definitely more of a cognitive challenge than a physical one in a lot of ways, but obviously, the physical part is a huge component of that. So very happy with that. Later in the week, on one of the lighter days when I was doing power snatches, I started to hold the hook grip when I was at the top of the snatch, and it started to feel really interesting. So I kind of was noticing that a little bit in that session, but more so in the next one, where my left hand was sliding out a little bit, and I think it was because the bar was not catching it square, but my left hand and left arm, I think, just move a little bit slower. And that's honestly something I think that's been a thing for a very long time, where my hands aren't symmetrical when they turn over on the bar, which I don't think is necessarily a muscle imbalance. I think it just, I suppose in some sense it is, but I think it's just how my body moves in some way. But I don't know. Who knows the actual reason with it? It's not really important what it is, because it's hard to really fix. But what I was kind of noticing when I was using the hook grip, it was feeling just better. It was a very interesting feeling. But I moved my hands out a little bit further, so I'm basically at the collar, and then just held the hook grip the whole time. And In the past, when I've tried to do it, I feel like I wasn't able, like I would do it with light weights, and once I got to like 80 or 90, I just like wouldn't be able to do it, or it'd be so uncomfortable to hold it. And when I did the heavy session on Saturday, I was able to hold it for all of the reps, and I think it was only randomly the second rep of 40 kilos to where I didn't, but that was partially because I forgot, but also I think kind of similar when you're doing cleans with a really light weight. Sometimes the mobility is limited just because the weight of the bar is not heavy enough, and I think that's partially why the second rep I wasn't holding the hook grip, but also a mental lapse, I'm sure. But even up to the 115, I was able to hold it, and it just felt more solid in the bottom. I don't know, it was kind of an interesting feeling, but it felt like I could have a lot more of a stronger connection to the bar, if that makes sense, when I was holding that. And then with cleans, I tried to do it with a really light weight, but I just don't have the Ilia type grip or mobility to do that with cleans. And with straps, it's kind of the same idea. It's like I wouldn't do a heavy clean with straps, and it's because I don't have the mobility to hold that full grip. If I did, I suppose I could do cleans with straps on a more frequent basis, but I've kind of moved away a little bit from those, and didn't really do a lot this week. And a lot of that's just because of all the squatting I didn't really have the desire to put straps on for cleans. But that's certainly a tool that I'll continue to have in my tool bag when I'm just training in general, but not for like big heavy full cleans, because that's just not very safe to do in general, and especially if you don't have the ability to necessarily be confident in catching it with a full one. But I mean, there's not really much of a reason to do a full clean with straps when you can get the same front rack in a power and be in a much safer position. And whatchamacallit. So I had that interesting thing happened on Saturday, and was dog sitting. So I was hanging out with the dogs, the roommate's old dogs, Friday, Saturday, and a little bit on Sunday. Got a lot of food from them because they went to like an Amish bed and breakfast. So I ate a lot of that. So I'm going to be weighing a lot tomorrow. I got like ribs and the dessert stuff and cookies and stuff. So I did not hold back on that. And, I'm not really, there's no deadline for me to necessarily lose weight. And, I know I'm not typically going to eat that much food or that poorly when I'm just, at my house. So, splurging like that, I'm not too concerned with. But I guess in some sense I justified it by the fact that the get together with the teachers from my old school, that was postponed until later this summer. So I didn't have any event to go to on Saturdays. So I just ate pretty normally. But this upcoming week should be pretty normal training. There's not going to be any sort of, absurd squat workout or pressing workout that I plan on doing tomorrow, or at least when you're seeing this video. The plan is to do block work, so to incorporate that back in. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do cleans and like push presses or cleans and jerks or something with that, but I'll definitely be doing block snatches, and I'll probably have power plus full from the blocks with snatches. I guess somewhat potentially with the cleans, but we'll just kind of have to see. The cleans for me are always just so much more difficult, and powers from the blocks are extremely difficult for me to do for cleans. With snatches, everything is pretty correlative to what I can do from the ground. If anything, it's a little bit easier from the blocks versus the ground, but cleans are a completely different animal. And then potentially some front squats, probably not, now that I'm thinking about it, because Tuesday's going to have back squats, and then probably some push presses or something related to that, but that could also be pushed until Tuesday as well. So definitely some block snatches and some block cleans, and then potentially block clean and jerks. We'll kind of have to see how I'm feeling on that day and kind of like what I look at for the rest of the week. But definitely block work in general on that Monday. And then I kind of mentioned Tuesday is a strength day, and then Wednesday is a kind of a heavy, quote unquote, heavy day, but with lighter weights. So like just classic snatch and clean jerk, or a variation like a snatch double and a clean front squat jerk, but similar to like how the Saturday session would go, but just with less aggressive weights. Thursday, the like front squat day, and maybe some jerks or presses or something. Friday, I'll actually probably do very similar to how I did this past one, where it's like power snatches and power cleans. and jerks, just to kind of move some lighter weights and just practice the technique. And that's, I think, one thing with, like, when I'm feeling the hook grip, it feels like my technique is better, and that's what I really felt like on that Friday. So I kind of want to keep reinforcing that feeling that I was having when I was doing that, with just continuing to have sessions like that. And then Saturday, just another heavy day like that. And then Sunday will probably be very similar to this one, where I get some muscle snatches and muscle clean and presses in, and do some band work like this. I originally was thinking of potentially doing power snatches and power cleans, and it's like, this day needs to just be an easier day to kind of get ready for the week. And as the block work gets heavier, I don't want this day to be fatiguing for that day. And it's kind of not necessarily a recovery day, but it's a day where I'm moving and I'm not putting myself in a recovery deficit like I would on other days. So I'm looking forward to normal training this week, and I have an eye doctor appointment tomorrow, so nothing really too exciting with that. And then a physical, so I'm actually doing normal health stuff. First physical I've probably had since I was been like 20 or 21. I guess you can count. I bought or I have currently like disability insurance that I got when I started teaching, so I had blood work done then, I remember. So like 23 is the last time I had any sort of check with that regard. So hopefully everything's good as far as that goes. I don't have any issues that I know of right now, but you never know. But that will be Friday, so I have that going on. And for as far as teaching goes for next year, I'll be at the same school as I was this past year, so nothing's going to change with that. I know I kind of mentioned some different things related to that, but I also have a teaching partner, which I have not met yet, but my principal has spoken very highly of him. So at some point this summer, or maybe later in the beginning of the school year, obviously once the school year starts, but at some point meet him and show him around the gym and interact with him and kind of see what he's all about. But I've heard good things and all that good stuff, so looking forward to that. And just in a really good situation, teaching wise, the grad school stuff, just routine with that. There's nothing really too exciting with the one. I just have one class right now, so it's super easy and routine as far as that goes. But yeah, that's really about it. But looks like the clip is about done, so I was going to edit it down if I needed to, but I guess I just rambled on enough. So that being said, if you made it to this point, I appreciate it, and hopefully you like the structure of the videos, having it be different ways. So hopefully every Monday is kind of like a review video like this, and then we'll just I'll play it by feel throughout the week, because I'm trying to figure out what, like Sundays, I kind of have a good feel, because that will just be the heavy session from that Saturday, so there won't be a lot to that other than just the lifting. And then the Saturday video will be a longer video potentially, so I'll play with it to see how the not necessarily even the analytics, I don't necessarily really care about that, but just to see how the flow of editing and making the videos goes, and at least try to keep as many of the videos during the week on consistent days as possible. So I think that will just be a generally better thing to do as far as just to upload schedule and whatnot. But anyhow, that's it for this one. I'll talk to you on the next one. And yeah, have a great day. And I'm definitely going to be streaming a little bit more in the summer. So I've been playing out of the park baseball a lot, just on my own, but I'm going to start putting that on some streams as well. So you can come hang out with those, and they'll just be horizontal streams with that. So I'm not going to worry about doing the vertical streams unless I am doing it for lifting. But anyhow, peace.